I have to say it. I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. What?
How could you not predict at least 10 to 13 wins for next season is all I'm saying. But again,
Jesus Christ, 13 wins.
I said
you want an opportunity to play, and the Jets are giving me an opportunity to play.
I'm sorry. I just remember that you compared Gesicki to Kelsey. I'm sorry.
I did not. You know what?
About it, I am ready to get hurt again.
I'm not hurting today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not hurting at all. This is episode 9 of the Battered Fins Fans podcast. I am your host, Mr. Bearded Fanatic. That's my co-host at Battered Jets Fan, Danny G. Danny, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling weird. A little weird. Yeah. I'm not gonna get too do it. I mean, your Dolphin fans don't want to hear my weirdness, but you know, I was a little negative with Zach Wilson. I'm trying to be positive, but you guys are feeling a lot better than we are right now.
That's right now, for sure. Right now, we're feeling a whole lot better, and I know that we could get into a lot of things because a lot of things interesting happened today. I could go from the multitude of tweets. Even one Dolphin fan who looked really bad tweeted out, well, I guess Chris Greer is going to sit on his ass and not do anything today. Ha! That aged really well, by the way. We could go to Dan Orlovsky calling us Super Bowl contenders, that he could definitely see us winning the Super Bowl this year. We could go to, oh, my God, Sam Alcho. I think that's his name. It just slipped my mind right now. But he works with Joy Taylor on First Things. Listen, you know what? I'm just rambling right now because I'm trying to remember his name. But all it is positive news coming out for the Dolphins today. But let's backtrack a few days, right? Let's backtrack to the Lions game. And that Lions game, Danny, if a multitude of things happened for me watching that game. I've said what I said all season about the defense. We continue to bend. We continue to bend, but we don't break. We show up
a lot in that first half, though.
We show up when it matters. That's what's important. But let's get into that first half because you brought it up. When you were watching that game, and I'll give you my 2 cents after you give me yours. When you were watching that game, at any point in time, as a person who's not a Dolphins fan, that you're like, oh shit, the Dolphins are going to lose this one.
When they went up 14-0. When they went down the field that easily on those 2 drives, I was like, oh shit, the Dolphins might get their ass kicked. But I told you last week that I thought it was going to be a shootout. I just didn't expect the Lions to go up the field as easily as they did. That was surprising to me. So,
do you think it had anything to do with? I don't want to say that the defense went in there. I think it's a Lions. They're 1-5. They really don't have anybody. Do you think there was anything from a defensive standpoint that they probably undersold them? They're like, we don't have to be that worried about them.
You know what? I could see a team like the Bills doing something like that. A team like the Broncos, even though the Broncos haven't been doing well, but their defense feeling that way going into a game like that. When you have a superior defense and you're like, this is going to be a cakewalk. But the Dolphins have something to prove. Your defense has left a lot to be desired. I know that at home you guys have performed a little bit better, but on the road you guys have played like ass. You guys have been really bad on the road. How many points did you give up? What was it, 27, 24?
27 in the first half.
27. So it's not like the defense has been playing well. So I would hope that they wouldn't go into a game unprepared or not full blazing, because you would figure that they want to come and prove a point because, like I said, all season long, they haven't played all that well.
Well, and again, statistically, when you're speaking statistically, we haven't played that well. But one thing that's very important to me, and I've kept saying this same verbiage all season long so far, 9 episodes in, is everything is about the eye test. And when I look at the Dolphins defenses, I see corners playing hard. And I mean backup rookie corners, undrafted corners playing hard. I see Jalen Phillips around the ball at all times, even though he's not getting the sacks. Emmanuel Ogbah, again, another game where he's disappeared. But again, Zach Zeeler, huge game from Zach Zeeler playing this game. And when he got to Jared Goff, I felt ecstatic for him because a lot of people are like, oh, he's not better than Christian Wilkins. You know, he is what he is. But, dude, that guy's a force to be reckoned with on that defensive line playing alongside Christian Wilkins. And I think that's a majority of the reason why Zach Zeeler looks so good, because he gets to play next to Christian Wilkins. But let me tell you, overall, from the eye test perspective, just looking at this defense, I think they're better than what people give them credit for because statistically, we look horrible. I'm with you on that. But
yeah, well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't know how it is that they finally make that final determination as to who's the best defense. I don't know if it's points allowed, yards allowed. I'm not really sure how they do that. But you guys are 10th worst as far as points allowed. Like, you're giving up crazy amounts of yards through the air and through the ground. Like, I'm not sure. And what I think surprises me the most is the lack of pass rush up until today, the lack of pass rush that you guys had. And I don't know if that is the underlying theme of your defense this year, is that because you can't press or you can't get pressure on the quarterback, then your defensive backs are suffering because and then again, your injuries also, you can't play man-to-man. It's just been a slew of problems that you guys have had in the defensive end. And a lot of it not even your fault because of the injuries.
all right, so this next topic is still with the same game, but we're going to talk about the second half. And the reason I called it a big statement even though it was against a 1-5 Lions, is that second half defensively. Let's go on the defense side first.
All right.
Shutout, 0 points. So you can say what you want about what they did in the first half, but you make adjustments. It's a 4-quarter game. What do you see from the defense on the second half that you're like, all right, maybe I overspoke. Maybe I spoke too soon.
I mean, Jared Goff, he didn't seem like the same player that was playing with the same ease the first half.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason that the Lions are 1-5. Obviously, that you guys came and you guys did your thing in the second half, but Jared Goff just didn't seem like he was in the same room. And I'm guessing that it has a lot to do with your defense. But, I mean, like you said, it's kind of like Shaq. He said that he hits his free throws when they count. I mean, your defense showed up when it counts. And
there it is.
You want them to show up in the second half. I mean, that's when they showed up. I mean, luckily that you guys had the firepower to outscore them, because if they would have put up 27 points and you guys didn't have the offense that you have, I mean, you still might have lost the game.
And I want to get into the offense. I really do, but I still need to give some credit to this defense, because that's exactly what my point is. Xavier Howard, he only had 2 tackles this game, no pass breakups. Zach Sealer, let's go back to him. He had 2 pass deflections at the line. He had, I want to make sure that I say this correctly. He had 4 total tackles, 3 by himself, 1 big sack. Again, big part of that defense. Javon Holland, 10 solo tackles and a pass breakup. Another key component.
Javon Holland has had been easily a Pro Bowl season.
Right. I definitely could see him making the Pro Bowl this season. But my point is, before we go to the offense, is when you need this defense to show up, they put it together. And you know what? A lot of that credit, as people don't want to give it, I give it to Josh Boyer. He's making adjustments when a lot of people are like, maybe it was Brian Flores calling this defense in the second half of last season. Maybe not, because Josh Boyer, he's the only key component that we kept from last season, because you've hired people like Sam Madison and Patrick Stanley come in and help with the DBs. But for the most part, it's all been Josh Boyer. So I'm going to give him his kudos.
But you know what? And I'll give the defense credit for shutting them down in the second half, because you need to make adjustments in the NFL. That's all it is. The first drive is scripted. That's why the offense usually plays so well on the first drive. After that, it's all about adjustments. So he's making the right adjustments at halftime. But my question is, at what point do you blame him for the lack of adjustments during the first half? At what point do you get on him for having a bad game plan that allowed the Lions to go and score 27 points in the first half? Because that's a lot of points to put up in one half.
I agree. Let me ask you a question. And by the way, we're not talking about the biggest thing that happened this game. How many possible penalties can you call on one team in one single game? This, like, I get it. We came into this game as a very high penalized team. But I don't know if you saw this.
I'm going to check that out, because you might be the highest.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but at one point, Mike McDaniel walked over to the sideline, looked at his defensive coordinators, his defensive staff, and he literally said, bro, we need to fucking fix this shit and walk the fuck up. And that was my same mentality. But you know what? I like the way he did it. It wasn't getting rambunctious with his defense. It wasn't calling anybody out. He literally just looked at his coaching staff and said, clean this shit up. And Danny, again, from a person who didn't want Mike McDaniel first just because of the experience, this guy has won me over easily. But let's talk about where the real credit goes.
By the way, you guys are in 5th place for most penalties.
I figured.
Broncos, you guys are 5th with 55. You're
And I
tied
think we
for
had,
fourth. I'm sorry. You're tied for fourth with 55 with the Cowboys.
and I think we had 45 this past game, just in this game alone. But
So you're tied for fourth. Well, just in case anybody's wondering, you're tied for fourth with the Cowboys 55, Saints
Yeah.
at third with 57,
Yeah.
Seahawks in second with 60, and the Broncos way ahead of everybody with 70.
wow, that's terrible.
Yeah,
Also,
that is
new
terrible.
coaching. Also, new coaching. So if you want to chalk it up to that, I think there's a few
I
teams
guess.
in between that
that is
still
rough.
have the same coach, but that is rough. Sir, what else does Tua have to do? And the reason I'm setting it up this tag like this is because what were some of the main things? We don't have to go into it, but I'm saying what were some of the main components about the complaints about Tua this upcoming season? He doesn't have the arm. His decision making is terrible.
Well, to be fair, I've never heard the decision making is terrible. I've always heard that he's very accurate. We've seen that he's very accurate.
Yeah.
I think the biggest question was, can he get the ball downfield accurately? Not even accurately. Can he get the ball downfield, period?
Yeah.
And can he do it consistently? And I thought after the Ravens game, I thought that was put to bed.
Yeah.
But he's continues to do it. Now, I think it helps that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are so fast that they get separation, right? So even if the ball is underthrown, you still have a nice radius to work with because Tyreek Hill creates so much space. But regardless, you can't take that credit away from Tua. Tua's getting it down there.
Let me ask you a quick question. Let's break this up in two sides. When you look at this game and you watch this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only person he's underthrowing, and we're going to put underthrowing in quotation marks here, is Tyreek Hill. Do you see the dimes that he drops to Trent Sherfield? Do you see the dimes that he drops to Jalen Waddle?
That one in the end zone.
That was a dime, sir. And it was a 37, 38-yard pass. So it wasn't like right there. What I'm saying is there's other quarterbacks that could underthrow Tyreek Hill because of just how quickly he gets down the field. And I don't think that
at some point you got to like I figure the first couple of games, but at some point with practice and everything, you got to get that going, right? Like that chemistry needs to build. You got to get used to that speed. I'm sorry, he's not going to go from
Mahomes had him for a few seasons that he would still underthrow Tyreek Hill at times.
Maybe.
I'm not comparing their arm strength.
That I can't speak to.
I'm not doing that. I'm not comparing their arm strength. I still think Patrick Mahomes has a stronger arm. He's up there with the Josh Allens of the world. What I'm saying is Tua wouldn't be the only person that underthrows Tyreek Hill.
Well, have you heard absolutely anybody say anything negative about Tua since Sunday? Because I think that he's put pretty much everything to bed.
I didn't until until the same guy, and I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you know who I'm talking about. He works with Joy Taylor. He came out and said that Tua Tagovailoa is obviously, we should put it to rest, that he's obviously the better choice over Justin Herbert. And that swirled. And look, that face you just did.
I don't know.
So many people the wrong way. We had people in our fantasy football chat literally going back and forth about it. But Danny, God, I have to say I agree. I have to say I'm wrong, but wrong from this standpoint. I am wrong from the standpoint that I thought that Justin Herbert was leaps and beyond the much better choice in Tua Tagovailoa.
Okay.
That's where I feel I was wrong at. I thought the barometer wasn't even close. I said the only reason he was playing that well in college is because of the amazing talent around him, and I still stick to that. But guess what? With a I'm still not ready to say this O-line is anywhere near decent. I think it's okay. We haven't reached a decent level yet. I think Connor Williams is playing great. When Teron Armstead plays, he stops everybody on that left side. But
I saw some people on Twitter saying that Armstead was the greatest left tackle they've ever seen in their lives or something.
Okay. They haven't seen too many left tackles then.
I think that kid must have been 12, the one that wrote that.
Right. Then it's understandable. But I think that I am wrong in that aspect, and I'll let you give me your 2 cents about that comment. But he is definitely not leaps and beyond the much better choice for the Miami Dolphins. Tua, with the team that's been built around him, he could take us to the dance. But go ahead. I gave you the 2 cents about what the video was about. Give me your feedback on it.
Well, what I was going to tell you is that Justin Herbert, I feel, and let me know what you think about this. Yeah. I feel like Justin Herbert has been performing since his rookie year with less than Tua has this season. Tua has literally the best duo at receivers.
Yes.
Justin Herbert had, was it Mike Williams' his name?
Yeah.
I forget who it was. It was Mike Williams.
Mike Williams.
But other than that, what big name does he really have? I'm sure he has other players, but nobody that comes to mind right off the top of my head. Tua has been equipped with the two fastest receivers, or at least the fastest duo of receivers in the league. He has what you and I agree is a top 5 tight end if put into the system.
Yep.
Not top 3, but top 5. So I feel like he has been equipped with a great roster and everybody says he's a genius. I think he's a good offensive coach in Mike McDaniel. So I think that Tua has been put in like the perfect situation for him to succeed. I saw Kurt Warner, he tweeted out. He said, I still think that Tua has one of the weaker arms in the NFL, but he's still an accurate passer, still has a high IQ, and with Mike McDaniel, he's in the perfect situation with the roster around him. So he's in the perfect situation. I really do believe he's in the perfect situation. Now, if you put Tua Tagovailoa on the Jaguars, if you put him on the Jets, if you put him on the Colts, is he still going to have that success? I'm not sure. But with Justin Herbert, I feel like if I go and I drop him on just about any other team, that he might be successful. I'd take Justin Herbert over Zach Wilson right now. Okay. I don't know if I would take Tua over Zach Wilson on this Jets roster right now. I don't know if I would take him.
All right, so I agree with most of what you said, that if you were to drop Tua on the worst team in the NFL, is he going to have the same stats? Of course not, because half of those very accurate throws that he's throwing to basically the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL right now. So I agree with that standpoint. But I also agree with the other point that you said, that you feel like what Tua is currently playing with this season outweighs what Justin Herbert is currently playing with. But then that same applies to Justin Herbert's rookie season when he won Rookie of the Year. The Dolphins were dreadful when Tua finally got put in for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they were yanking him a lot as well.
But I'm about to say, but that doesn't count. Like Brian Flores was messing with that kid. He kept yanking him in and out in fourth quarters and stuff. Tua never even had a shot. And that's we never really got to see Tua.
So can we say that this is technically his rookie season, where he has a coach that believes in him? He's put a roster.
I don't know if I would say it's his rookie season because he has quite a number of games in before this season.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think he missed a few in between.
But I do agree. This is the first year that he's well equipped. Now, if Justin Herbert was on that Ryan Fitzpatrick team, do you think Justin Herbert gets pulled from those games? I don't think so. I think Brian Flores, as much as he disliked Tua, if he thought Tua could win on those games, he would have left him in. Everybody's in the business of winning. And if he really thought that Tua was going to give him the best chance to win, he wouldn't have yanked him. I think he doesn't yank Justin Herbert if he's on the field at that point. But that's years ago. Nobody cares about that. This year, right now, Tua is balling. I don't think anybody's saying anything else about Tua. All you got to do is make sure you keep him healthy, and you should be okay.
So then give me the answer to that question. Justin Herbert this year to Tua this year, who are you taking?
Depends. Are we talking Dolphins offense against Chargers offense, or are we just talking about I get to pick one of these two quarterbacks? Because if I just get to pick one of these two quarterbacks, I'm taking Justin Herbert.
All right, so you're still not a believer. What I'm saying is, regardless of what the offense is right now, Tua has shown me enough where I would take him right now over Justin Herbert. That's just a realization that I've come to. That I thought it was leaps and years beyond what Tua could potentially bring to the Dolphins, and I was extremely wrong on that. But by the way, my first name is Emmanuel, and by the way, I should have remembered his name is Emmanuel Acho. That's who works with Joy Taylor. I should have remembered that. He's the one that dropped that comment. He dropped another comment before we get into this one, and we're gonna call it, sir, I got a chubby. And the reason I got a chubby is not because we got Bradley Chubb. We got a young Bradley Chubb, sir. And I know you're going to bring up some stats for us to talk about. But the thought process of having, just follow me here, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips on opposite ends, right? Both really young guys. You have Javon Holland, you have Brandon Jones, and you still have Xavier Howard, who's relatively young, with a solid middle linebacker, not great, solid middle linebacker in Jerome Baker. Christian Wilkins, by the way, another young piece. Would this not give you a chubby if you were a Dolphins fan? I have to know.
Well, I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Of course he is.
What do you think was the biggest weakness of your defense this year? Because I know you say that they're bend but don't break, but they're bending like crazy.
Getting to the quarterback, 100%.
So, I think you just addressed that.
Yes.
Now, after that pass rush, I think your secondary is still a bit weak because of the injuries.
Yeah.
So do you think that adding Bradley Chubb is going to fix what's been wrong with your defense? Because I know it's been bend but don't break, but it's only so much you can bend. You've seen in some fourth quarters where they've been bending so much that eventually they do break in the fourth. Like, is this going to do, in your mind, does this change the defense?
Yes, and I don't want to steal this guy's point of view, because this is exactly what he said, because that was a question that was proposed to him. He said the Dolphins have basically had to zero blitz the hell out of their team and leave a lot of gaps in the backfield to try to get to the quarterback, because as of right now, they weren't able to get to the quarterback, which is a 3 to 4 man rush. Right now, with the addition of Bradley Chubb, they're going to be able to do that. So when you would bring a nickel in to blitz the quarterback, and when you bring a safety to come in and blitz the quarterback to try to get more pressure and get them off the field, now adding Jalen Phillips on one side, adding Bradley Chubb on the opposite, now that same.
But Jalen Phillips hasn't done much this year, though. Like that's the disappointing part, is that he has him and Mayo Akba haven't done much this year.
But it's also been a lot of double teams sent his way. Jalen Phillips hasn't been getting beat or being held up one-on-one. There's always a tight end rubbing. There's always a guard double teaming him. There's always a running back punching him off the line, and he's still seconds away from getting to the quarterback. So what I'm saying is that one player that you would bring in, or that extra couple of players that you bring in to blitz, now they can stay back and cover somebody like Stephon Diggs. Now they can stay back and spy on Josh Allen. And his point is, if Tua is as good as I believe he is, the Miami Dolphins can be as good as the Chiefs and Bills. Hint, they've already beaten the Bills this season. The point is that when we face these teams later on down the road and potentially in the playoffs, right? If there's a game where we need to get to the quarterback and we're playing in pitiful weather, like let's say a Buffalo Bills game in January, we know that those games are like pitiful because it's probably going to be at their house. Just let's get that out of the way. It's probably going to be at the Bills' home if we play the Bills. Now you have the type of proponent of defensive starters on each side of that ball of who am I going to double team? Who am I going to free up? So if you're going to double team Bradley Chubb, now you're going to see a lot of one-on-ones with Jalen Phillips on the opposite side. You still have Zach Zeeler coming up the middle. You still have Christian Wilkins coming up the middle. So, Danny, what I'm saying, and I still want an answer to my question, is if you have these amount of young stars on your team, because you have some pretty good studs on your team as far as young stars, you'd have to get pretty excited about not just what this season brings, but the future of it.
No, for sure. And we were just bringing up Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. Highest pass rush win rate. Bradley Chubb is third in the league, behind Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett.
And those are
Phillips is ninth. You have two in the top 10 right now. And Phillips is only gotten what? How many sacks does he have this year?
I don't know, but I know that it's the max 3, no more than 4.
But like you said, he hasn't gotten them, but he's been getting close.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have Bradley Chubb on the other side now is definitely going to help him, obviously. So your defensive line looks like it's nice and beefy. You're set at defensive line. Your linebackers are okay also. My question to you is your defensive backs. Now, I think that's where you're going to need help. I was talking to my brother today, and I told him I don't think Xavier Howard has played like he's played. This isn't old Xavier Howard. I don't know if it's because, you're not playing man-to-man. He has to get accustomed to zone a little more often now that you guys aren't going zero blitz. I'm not really sure what it is, but he hasn't been the same Xavier Howard from the past. Byron Jones, is he out for the season?
So they still have him on IR. He still hasn't returned from IR.
So that's another big loss. I mean, that at this point, that's going to be your weakness. But I think with a strong front, and that covers up a lot of the defensive backs' weaknesses.
And that's my point. The point that you'll be able to rush now with just Jalen Phillips, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, even switching on Emmanuel Ogbah for some rest with Zach Zeeler and Christian Wilkins. That's just, let's say, the front 4, front 5. Just using that pressure frees up your linebackers to drop into coverage more. That gives your DBs a little bit more time, these young DBs a little bit more time to keep up with those wide receivers. And that leads into the next point. I'm going to do the one thing I've never done is, Danny, you've never heard me utter the words, and I still won't utter the words. This is our year. But God damn it, we're flirting with it. We are flirting with the potential of what the Chris Grier is building here in Miami. You may hear me utter those words sometime soon, but right now it's getting very sexy. And by the way, Jalen Phillips, like I said, it was only 3 sacks this season so far.
Yeah. So you're getting there where you think that
getting
this
there.
might be your year.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see it yet,
The
but
10 to 13 wins I was hoping that you hear us discussing, that seems like potential right now.
well,
I can see us easily be 10-3 by the time we play the Bills again.
Well, I was about to say you're definitely in the soft part of your schedule coming up right now.
Yeah.
So that's good. You can get a couple knockouts, a couple wins. Until I see Bradley Chubb actually make that difference, and
Okay.
for your defense to finally show up, and like I thought they would at the beginning of the year, that's when I'll start thinking, okay, maybe they do have a chance. But until I actually see it with my eyes on the field that Bradley Chubb is gonna, and it won't be this weekend because Chicago sucks. So if they do it this weekend against Chicago, it's still not going to be impressed.
Daddy's going to be like, give me one more week, and then we can talk about it.
Jesus Christ. The Chicago Bears have one of the sorriest offenses you'll ever see in your life. So they definitely should look better this week.
What about the Browns? We're not going to talk about the Browns, but what if we outplay the Browns the way the Browns outplayed the Bengals
Oh
this
my
past
God,
Thursday
but look
night
at
football?
this. Look at this. Your defense, Bradley Chubb is going to win Defensive Player of the Year based off of the next 3 games because everybody's going to be like, look at the difference he just made. You guys have Chicago, horrible offense. Jacoby Brissett with Cleveland, horrible. Then you have a bye week to rest up, and then you have the Texans.
Yeah.
Oh my, what the hell is this? Jesus Christ. So yes, I think if obviously the next 3 weeks the defense should show up and play well against these 3 teams. But after that, you have San Francisco, the Chargers, and then the Buffalo Bills. Those 3 weeks will tell me at that once, even before that Bills game, depending on how they look at San Francisco and LA, I will tell you, you know what? You guys have a chance at the Super Bowl. Those are the 2 games I'm going to wait for.
All right, so we're going to pause it. We'll pause on this subject until then. But a couple quick points before we move on to the Bears. Raheem Mostert, 14 carries, 64 yards this past game. I thought that when he got the opportunity to run the ball, he ran the ball effectively. Thank God Chase Edmonds is gone. A lot of people were – I don't know if people don't watch the games like we do, Danny. I don't know if they don't. But
because they were sad that he left?
Yeah, we're like, oh, we lost Chase Edmonds. Oh, my God. I mean, like, yay. You should be saying yay, not oh, my God.
Didn't see all those drops he had?
Drops. He was averaging two yards from the line of scrimmage. It's like, all right, listen, he just wasn't built for this offense, or he was just having a bad year. But
who the hell is that guy that you guys got from the Niners?
Jeff Wilson. And you know what? If you want to be if you don't know who Jeff Wilson is, you don't know what you're talking about. Sir, 90% of people saw Jeff Wilson get traded, and they're like, who? I don't know who Jeff Wilson is.
Mike McDaniels knows him well, right?
And that's why he wanted him.
That's all that matters.
Let me tell you, another great thing. We kind of touched on this. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Best 2 wide receiver combo in the NFL right now. One topic before we move on. Do you think both of these guys will break 1,300 yards this offseason? Because this was brought up by, I believe, Michael Irvin. He goes, this might be the first time that you see 2 wide receivers break 1,300 yards this upcoming season. And he thinks that Tyreek Hill could finish season with almost 2,000 yards.
All right, the 2,000 yards I think is a little out of hand. I think you should reel it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But the 1,300 yards, I think it's possible, especially since we play 17 games now. It's never been done, but remember, this is only going to be the second time that we play 17 games.
Right.
They average almost 100 yards a game. So I could definitely see with that extra game, definitely. Jalen Waddle, I mean, he had a couple games where he was just completely off, but he came alive this game. I think that was the brightest part of this game is finally seeing Jalen Waddle get into the end zone. Because the issue you guys have is that you guys move the ball down the field. You get in the red zone, but then it's like you don't look for Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill. I don't know if it's because of their size or what it is. The field shrinks, and that's when you usually have those big body targets. But you guys don't like using Gesicki for whatever reason.
And we're using this game.
Yes. But, Jalen Waddle finally getting into the end zone. Why doesn't Tyreek Hill ever get used in the red zone?
Here's my thing as well. 29 of 36, 382, 3 touchdowns. Again, very good with the ball. Should have had
4 touchdowns.
That Trent Sherfield, listen, I get it. You're at the 1-yard line. Mike McDaniel's like, I don't want to lose a timeout. We're going to get in regardless. Great play call to get it in with, oh my God, our fullback. His name escapes you right now. But the fact is, I get why he didn't challenge it, but we all knew it. Dolphin fan or not, that Trent, There was shadow underneath his legs when he crossed the plane. He should have had 4 touchdowns, and Trent Fields should have got in the end zone.
And you know what? And I'm disappointed because I called for 40 points, and I felt like you
did.
guys should have scored 40 points because I told you the offense is finally, I don't care what you guys say, anybody listening, your offense hasn't looked good this year so far. It's looked okay. It's gotten close to the red zone, but it hasn't punched it in. I knew that they would finally punch it in against the Lions, and now you're going to come and mollywop Chicago, mollywop Cleveland, mollywop Houston, and everybody's going to be like, that's it, the Dolphins are Super Bowl contenders. Maybe. We'll see. But definitely, you guys got to take care of business. You took care of business against the Lions. Had to happen. And you got the next 3 games. You guys got to take care of business also.
Well, let's look ahead then. Let's look ahead to the Chicago Bears in Chicago, Danny. Quick tidbit about this game. Gamecast. Let's go there. I like looking at Gamecast before we pick this game. Let me bring it up for you. It's a 1:00 game. Dolphins are 70% favorites, but only a 5-point favorite. What does that do to you right there? That we're only a 5-point favorite in Chicago. By the way, and they traded Roquan Smith the week we played them. Love that. Thank you, Baltimore.
It's crazy. A couple things. One, you're on the road, so that's like a 3 points right there, right? Second, they have the 5th best pass defense in the league.
I see that. Giving up under 200 yards.
So, obviously, it's not going to be a walk in the park, but they got rid of their 2 best linebackers this week. I don't know who else they got. They must have gotten rid of somebody else. They just cleaning house at this point, I think.
They traded for Chase Claypool, but we just played him when he was on Steelers. He didn't do anything against us. But they are.
And I don't believe in Justin Fields. But they allow the
100
rushing yards.
156 yards per game right now they're averaging. So if there was a week for Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert to eat, you figure it's this week.
This is going to be the week that you guys have to rely a little bit on the running game. Not that they can stop Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
But if the run's going to work, go with the run. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. It's still not too cold. It should be cold, but it's not going to be too cold.
I'll look it up for you right now.
But the weather isn't going to be anything out of hand. I do think that
52 degrees.
Yes, that's beautiful weather.
Beautiful weather.
So, look, I said that you would put up 40 against Detroit because Detroit's defense sucks. The Bears are a bad team offensively, but defensively, they're a little more – they're better. They're like the Broncos, for example. The Broncos have a great defense, but a bad offense. I think that you guys obviously will win. I don't think that the Bears have a chance to beat you guys.
All right, so let's pick it. Let's go.
I don't think they have a chance to beat you guys, but I do think that you guys are not going to pull up the numbers that you would have against the Lions and like you will against, let's say, the Browns or the Texans. I think you guys put up 24 points. I think the Bears put up 7, 10. I don't believe in them. So I'm going to say 24. Didn't the Lions put up not the Lions, the Cowboys put up like 49 on them?
Yeah, it was definitely I think 40 something at one point, but you know what? The Bears offensive also woke up. You know, they
scored 29.
Yeah, so I'm not as convinced as you are. I'm gonna go back to what I said before we played the Lions. I don't think any of these games are gimme games because any given Sunday or any given Thursday.
But if you play it like that, we can never pick a game because obviously any given Sunday
No, but what I'm saying is people will be like, oh, it's the Bears. We're automatically going to win. My mind can't think that way. I can't think that it's an automatic win any week. I would have picked the Bengals to beat the Browns. I would have figured it would have been a close game. I get it. Jamar Chase was out, but I wouldn't have expected what the Browns did to the Bengals right now.
That's fine, but what the Bears did to the Buccaneers, for example, nobody expected it, but I'm okay with everybody saying the Buccaneers are going to win this game. I understand that it's not exactly what's going to happen, but like they should win those games.
All right, and I think the Dolphins should win this game. So that's what I'm going to go with. The Dolphins will win this game, and offensively, I was going to go with 24. I felt more comfortable with 21, 24, around that range. I think I respect the Bears' defense just a little bit more, at least their passing defense. If Raheem
24?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree with the point spread that you gave us.
Okay.
As far as their offense, Herbert, their running back, he's put up 563 so far on the ground this season. And there's been times where running backs have gashed us. So I think he may have a decent game, maybe 80 yards running on us. I think he might break the end zone at least once or twice. I think Justin Fields, the escapability of Justin Fields, outside of Lamar Jackson, and you saw what Lamar Jackson did to us. Josh Allen was also running on us. So when you have these type of athletic quarterbacks, I don't know if I'm convinced already that we could stop athletic quarterbacks. So I can see Justin Fields breaking for a touchdown as well. Ultimately, I see us winning this game. I'm going more for like a 24-17, 21-17 that we escape Chicago with a dub.
Man, I don't know. I think Bradley Chubb's going to make a difference game one. He's going to be active this week, I would assume, right?
I would assume as well because it's only Tuesday.
Right. So it's only Tuesday, so I would assume he's going to be active. I think that he's going to make a difference right off the bat. You guys are going to be feeling really good about yourselves after next Sunday. Once he gets a sack, Phillips finally gets to the quarterback twice, and you maybe even Xavier Howard gets a pick.
I like it.
So you guys are going to be feeling really good because our defense now has matched our offense, and I think that after next Sunday, you guys are going to be singing that stupid Dolphins anthem really loudly.
You know what? I appreciate that, but you're I'm looking ahead to the games that you said. I'm looking ahead to those 49er games, LA, the Bills again.
Those are the games that I need to see to believe in you guys.
No,
but I know how it is to be a fan. You guys beat up on the Bears, and everybody's gonna be like, "That's it, we're in the Super Bowl."
Right, but I can't be that person because I think too logically about these games and don't get ahead of myself. I look at things. You know what? I feel like a player. I'm going on a week-to-week basis and only looking at the opponents that are ahead of me. But when you want to talk about statement wins, right? And we'll close it out in here. You want to shut everyone in the NFL up, every media personality, every other fan base.
Beat Buffalo and Buffalo.
Beat the hell out of them. Beat them. Just beat them. Not, a tip pass at the end of the game, ran back for a touchdown. No, beat them decisively. That you controlled the game, let's say on the ground, in the air, whatever it may be. You beat a team like that decisively, no one in the NFL will question what the Miami Dolphins are. And that's just my 2 cents on that.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 9 of the Battered Fins Fans podcast. I hope you enjoyed. As always, like, subscribe. If you feel like, we should touch on something else, if you think we should change something about the show, drop the comments underneath, and we're going to catch you next week for episode 10 of this show. Danny, we out of here.
I'm looking forward to next week when you guys are singing Super Bowl.